Hey everyone, welcome to day 2. I think I'm all set here. I got everybody going. Hi VIPs, and we've got people over. Hold on, just give me a second. I am on the wrong. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Bodhi. All right, let's start again. Sorry about that. I was on the wrong domain. I was on Cura Natural, and everybody would miss me. We need to be on Simple Health today. Oh, my life, a couple businesses. So welcome back to everybody who is back on. I am so grateful for all of you. I had a few patients in today, and they just learned so much. And that is what makes my heart sing, right? Because I get to teach you gentle ways if you're not my patient, but bigger ways when and if you do join on and we really connect in a deeper way. So I know that I probably, as you say, shot through the fire hose yesterday, and it wasn't my intention, but sometimes there's so much to teach. And everyone that are on right now, know that you're taking the time for yourself to heal. And we have one body, one energy, one life, one mind, and it's up for us to take care of it. And what I also want to say is God does not want us to be sick. He did not create a world of illness. It's what we're doing to ourselves, how we're treating ourselves, and even the mind that we're walking through. So I want to start with a brief story that I read today, and I thought, wow, that would be a great way to kind of step in today. And this individual walked up to a monk and said to, oh, I'm breaking up. Okay, hold on, guys. Walked in and said to a monk and asked a question and said to the monk, who are you today? Who are you being? And the monk just kind of said, I'm happy. I'm being me. And he said, well, you just look like so open and so clear and so loving. And the monk said, yeah, because I'm just being. I'm just in my way of being. And he said, but, don't you have worries? Doesn't life bother you? You just look so peaceful. And the monk said, right. I did my meditation. I'm in my space, and I am just being to you. It's we get to show up and be. And the more we're in our way of being in our heart, the deeper that we're going to heal. So it's so important for us to step up and just, instead of getting that to-do list done, how about before we get the to-do list done, we kind of stop and we say to ourselves, what does, who can I be today? Who can I show up for myself? And, and Brenda Bouchard, who can I be on my A game for? Well, it's always for you first, and it goes around. So again, all of you that are jumping on right now are slowly coming on. I just give a few minutes and I can share a story. So we off yesterday with macronutrients, the breakdown of the major nutrient-dense foods that we can put in our body. Can anybody tell me what you remember from those macronutrients? Do you remember what they all are, or do I need to do a refresher? And as you think about that, if you want to type it in the chat, that would be awesome. But even deeper, I had also asked you to maybe write down your nutrient plan that you ate yesterday. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm reset ourselves. Is that better? No. Is that better? Hopefully that's better for those of you on YouTube. Sorry, I don't know why I'm breaking up. My connection's unstable. It shouldn't be. I'm at the pretty strong, but I say I'm going in and out. Anyway, so let's talk about macronutrients. So we were talking about protein, fats, and carbohydrates, right? So those are our macro. I'm not going to get into micro, but micro are your potassium, your sodium, your chloride, like all the nutrients you get from vegetables, for example, but you also get carbs from vegetables. So when we're thinking of our macronutrients, and we're thinking of sugar, because this is all about sugar detox, right? What often happens is that we need to now, because we have an abundance of sugar, if that's what you're struggling with in our bloodstream, and remember our muscles have enough sugar if we're eating an overabundance of sugar for our body, but now our fat cells get the sugar they need, and now we have sugar, this is on a high level. Now we have sugar in the blood, and that's what we look at, which is glucose. Glucose is our immediate blood sugar, like right now at this time. Hemoglobin A1C that we talked about is sugar over 2 to 3 month period. There's all sorts of research to do with 3 months. Doesn't, at that point, I don't think it matters. It's like that, right? So when we're looking to eat, to balance our blood sugar, we're going to want to pull back the starches and the sugars that we're eating, and we're going to focus on more protein and more fat foods, if that makes sense. Do I have everybody with me? Like, that's really what we want to focus on. And then what we do is we think of conscious choices of the nutrient-dense foods that we want to eat and that make us feel our best. So just because an individual may need, I don't know, 75 or 80 grams of fat to feel the best, somebody else might need 100, which is a high level, honestly, just so you know, or somebody else may need 50. So I'm always looking at what your weight is. If you remember what we talked about yesterday, your protein should be 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So for example, if you're 1 to 1, your minimum should be 100 grams for female and 120 or so for males. That's your minimal. Then you want to add on to that based on your weight. So for example, I could pull a calculator out and do the math for you. So for example, if you're 150 pounds, max would be 150 grams of protein, and the spread would be like 125 to 150. So if you're trying to drop weight but keep muscle where it's at, you want to lend more towards the 125 and 130. So that's always the number I look at first. Then I look at fat. And depending on where we need to be, if you're trying to lose weight, we're going to be 50 to 75 grams. Then our carbohydrates are going to fill in the rest of that. What I want to say to you right off the bat with love is most people don't eat enough. When you're starting to look at your nutrient-dense foods and your conscious choices, you often don't eat enough food. So, let's use an example of like, say 1,400 calories is about what we want, right? And we work out and we burn 500 calories. That's only going to give me 900 calories. And I bet most of us need 1,000 to 1,100, possibly even 1,200. It's variable, right? And when you work with me, breaking up again, guys, I'm sorry, on YouTube, and you know that, right? And so we're always tweaking so that we're looking at getting your hunger, your energy, and your cravings in check. So remember, at the end of yesterday, we talked about how you need insulin for protein, and insulin you also need for carbohydrates, for starches, complex and simple. So protein is going to carry us longer, right? We talked about that, as opposed to simple starches. So when we're looking at nutrient dense food, we want the foods that are going to give us the vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients that we need. We're always, always, always going to prioritize whole, unprocessed foods, right? Anything that God put us on this earth to eat, grow in our garden, organic as possible. If this is a financial challenge, we said go to ewg.org, which is your environmentalworkgroup.org, which will give you the nutrients. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Will give you the foods that have the highest pesticidic spray on them. And I actually think it used to be called the Dirty Dozen. I know it used to be called that. I think we're at 18 or 20 now. We're way beyond 12, which is quite scary. And if you eat non-organic foods that are highly pesticide, then you're gonna start getting a bound of toxicity in the body, which next month we're going to talk about whole body detox, which will include that in cleaning supplies and things. But for right now, you do want to think about, like, what are my 15 or 18 that I need to stay away from if I have to budget? And I will honestly tell you from the bottom of my heart and with love, because I've been doing this for so long, people will tell me it's more expensive to eat healthy, and I will debunk that fact every single day. Every single day. You can send me messages, you can send me DMs, you can tell me I'm crazy, whatever. But I do it with patients all the time. I've taken patients' grocery lists, what they used to, what they eat now. I've taken the time and I've showed them, and they're quite amazed. But the message out there is it's expensive to eat organic, and it's expensive to eat quality food. And I'm going to tell you that's just not the truth. You just have to be aware of what you're buying and where you're buying it. For me, being in New England, I'm excited to start stepping to my farms. I get community supported agriculture. I have Butcher Brock's bring in my organic foods. Like, you got to do what you got to do. But for me, food comes first, because if I don't feed my body, I don't feel my gut, I can't show up for all of you, and I can't practice what I preach. So I want to go with that. So we're always wanting to look at lean proteins, whole foods, nutrient dense foods. When I say lean proteins, we're looking at turkeys, fishes, chicken is the last resort. I say that really quietly. I'm not sure that I love all the chicken that we're getting, and I'm not sure where it's all coming from. And I want to ask you this: when you go out to dinner, do you ever find turkey on the menu? Not to go to like a local place, like we have Hart's Turkey from up at the Lakes region, right? You see chicken this, drumstick this, chicken that, chicken, and maybe a piece of fish, unless you're at a fish, restaurant. So just think about that. So there's all of our chicken coming from. We are always wanting to strive for balance and moderation. And that's challenging when we're coming off of sugar. But it's all around our mindset, and it's all around making swaps and switches for what we used to eat to what we like to eat. And I know that my team is constantly promoting online, like, how can we switch this for that? And, so the information is out there. And I also know it's on my website, simplehealthnh.com. So there are ways to swap. However, 30 years ago, when I started this journey, there wasn't a for me. I did it a little harder. But here I am today to talk about it, right? It's okay. It was a journey back then. But there's options. However, I want you to read labels on those options, because sometimes they'll say organic and there'll be canola oil in it. And canola oil is not organic. It's Canadian oil. It's not organic. They put the seeds together. They put one seed in another seed. They hybridize it and they create beautiful yellow flowers in Canada. It's Canadian oil. That's an example, but yet they put organic on it. Drives me crazy. How can they do that? It's not. It is genetically modified. You always want to eat, practice your portion control, but portion control is going to come in if you're knowing what your macronutrients are. if you're knowing what your calories are. I'm not asking you to be strict. I'm not asking you, like, really, like, with love, if you have an eating challenge. I'm not, like, checking out with your practitioner or therapist or when you're walking the journey. I'm not asking you to stop eating certain things. I'm asking you to know the big picture. How do I remove sugar? And how do I have balanced macronutrients and micronutrients into my body? The micronutrients are coming from the green vegetables. And the other key piece that you hear us all talk about is a variety of color, a diversified range of food. So say tonight I'm having a piece of steak, then tomorrow I might have a piece of salmon. Last night I had a piece of haddock. Last night I think we had broccoli, green beans, and casserole. I had a long time ago. So tonight I probably will mix it up. So I have broccoli, and I always have a salad that has like 10 different types of vegetables. And I know that it can get boring, but we have to be creative. And so that's where I ask you to look up recipes. People love Pinterest. If anybody reaches out to my team, myself, I can give you all sorts of quality, recipe websites that I really like that are less sugar. And if something calls for honey or maple syrup or something, I just quite honestly just leave it out. So is this helpful? Is everybody on board? I'm trying to make it super simple. I don't like the word dumb. I'll never read a book that says dummy for this or whatever, but I'm trying to make it super simple for us. And then once it's super simple, then we actually can really put it in. So I had asked, and maybe you did or didn't, so I'll do the best I can to kind of show you my printout, but I asked you to bring a boxed foods or something that had a nutrient label on it. But if you didn't, that's okay. So I'll see if you can see if I'm close enough to nutrition facts. So this is a Quest bar, a blueberry Quest bar. I just grabbed a couple different ones so that you can read it. So when I look at the back of a label, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the ingredient list. And that's not the example that I pulled for it. And this doesn't have the ingredient list on it, so my apologies. But I do look at the ingredient list. And if I can't pronounce anything, I don't buy it. I'm not a box person anyway, so this part of the process is hard for me, but I want you at it. I used to be. So now, when we look at total carbohydrates, I want you to write this formula down. Total carbohydrates minus dietary fiber minus protein. I want that number hopefully to be less than 5, but definitely less than 8 to 10. So again, let me call it out again for those of you. I'm sorry, I didn't show you guys over here. So again, it's going to be total carbohydrates minus dietary fiber minus protein. So this is a protein bar. So this company Quest probably realized, which is a really good company. Tom Bilyeu started it. But anyway, I don't love that it has sugar alcohols in it, but that's probably the way of the world here. But it's got 23 grams minus 13 grams. So that's going to give us 10. And if we subtract that by 20 grams of protein, we're at a negative, right? So this bar is not going to spike your blood sugar. Okay. So I want you to get that again. So total carbohydrates minus dietary fiber minus protein. However, all of us were told to always look at sugars, which could be important for drinks and teas and things that have added sugar in them, because it's not going to have all the other breakdowns. So that could be like just a liquid you're drinking sugar. This one also has sugar alcohols in it. So I would look at something that has all in it, maltol, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Anything that ends in OL. See, I haven't looked at sugar alcohols in a while. But I most likely wouldn't eat something with a sugar alcohol in it. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't make my stomach feel good. And I just learned it's not good for me. But if you needed a protein bar on the run or something that would give you the protein because you're traveling or you want to throw it in your carry-on bag or you're in the car or something, this is a good option if you're okay with alcohols. People who have gut issues don't do well with sugar alcohols. So now, here's another one. The only ingredient in it is whole grain oats. So this is going to be Bob's Organic Oatmeal. So this is 30 grams of carbohydrates minus 3 grams of dietary fiber minus 5 grams of protein. Guess what? That's not 5 or less, and that's definitely not 10 or less. Right? So that's 22. So let me show you guys over here on Instagram. So it's definitely 22. So this is gonna spike your sugar. It's gonna give you insulin spike. It's gonna spike your sugar. So my patients that are on know that what I do is I trick the body in the sense that I put things in there. I put other nutrients food in there because oatmeal's not bad for you. That's not the messaging here. This is teaching you how to read a label. And that's so what I would have you do is have you could put flax oil on it. You could do any sorts of nuts. You could do raw coconut. I'm not sure if you do okay with these things. Again, I'm not getting into specific foods that work specifically for you because this is not what this is about. You could do like an organic soy milk. You could do a non-genetically modified organic soy milk. You could do an organic almond milk or almond milk. Sorry, it's my habit to say organic. And you could put walnuts. You could put flax seeds. Chia seeds is going to kind of make it thick. But there's all sorts of ways. The other thing that I have had patients do as well is once you cook the oatmeal, you take it off the stove. I've had patients mix in protein powder. So now we're adding more protein. And if we add more protein to this label, so say I added 20 grams of protein to this label, it would now be 33 minus 23 is 10. Minus 5 is 5. So that's going to give us 5 grams. That's less than 10. That's not going to spike your blood sugar. So that is going to be key to reading labels. When I learned that time ago, it was the best thing that I learned because now I knew, and this was before I became a practitioner and I'm doing this 24/7 with patients. Now I knew how to not blunt somebody's sugar response. So again, when you're looking at what your calories are, you want to put your protein in first, then your fats anywhere from 50 to 75, especially if you have insulin resistance, diabetes, sugar cravings, emotional struggles like we talked about yesterday. Cheryl, I am so sorry that you're losing me. So here you will get this. If you are opted in, you'll get the video. I'll ask them to send out. Actually, let me record my Zoom video. You know what's going to happen? I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I'll have them send what's left over. But if you have any questions, Cheryl, just DM us. Or ask me a little bit because this is a shorter kind of day. It's not as long as yesterday. So tell me what you missed. I'm happy to answer questions. And I apologize. I don't know. My internet seems strong here, so I don't know why it's weak on the software that I'm using to get to you guys. So I apologize. That's definitely not my go-to. Okay, so now let's talk about meal planning. So we talk about the macronutrients and whatnot, which is where our nutrition is going to come from. But we want nutritional adequacy. Like our meal planning is going to allow us to create well-balanced meals. Oh, you missed the whole formula. All right, give me 2 seconds, guys, so I can type this in for these guys. So nutrition. I'm sorry, but I know you guys are patient. Nutrition facts. So you want to look at total carbs minus dietary fiber minus protein on a label. And then you want that number to be less than 10, or best choice is less than 5. So it will not increase your sugar response in body. Okay, it's loading up there. Hopefully, oh, all right, hold on. It went over to, oh my goodness gracious, guys, I'm having so many challenges. I just put that over on, oh, there you go. It went up on YouTube. Okay. It popped on Facebook first. So is that helpful? Let me know. So now we want to strategically include a variety of food groups that ensure and meet our daily nutrient requirements. So when we're looking at macros, that's going to be the macro portion. But then we're going to start looking at micros, and that's all going to come in through your fruits and your vegetables and your greens like broccoli, cauliflower, raw spinach, escarole, celery, carrots, beets. Like, you just want a variety, and that way you know you'll be getting the nutrition you need. When we're looking at a sugar detox, our nutrition that we want to look at has less sugar in it, protein and fat. I'm going to keep saying that so that it kind of hits home. So when you and again, look at what is my protein, what is my vegetable, and fat is going to follow up with that. So the fat will fall on top of, so 50 to 75 grams of fat. I'm going to tell you what I just said earlier, just in case I cut out, is like when you meal plan in advance, it's going to save time, and you're not going to be relying on unhealthy boxed processed foods. I mean, how many of you run in the door at night and you're starving and you grab things? I can tell you, I've been there millions and trillions of times. It still happens, even though I plan. Like right before this, I knew I was going to be on for a good hour by the time I'm done with you, and then I work with my VIP. I ate some nuts and drank some water. Like, we constantly get to figure out what works for us, right? And figure out that balance. And I've already had 4 meals today, like snacks and like 2 main meals. So the more that we eat and then we drink our water should be half of our body weight in ounces, and we move our body. That's how we're going to get balanced nutrition. But meal planning, like, I was running 5 minutes late today. I admit it. Like, I was like, oh, I wanted to the clinic by 8:30, but I had all my food meal prep, so I could just containers out, put it in my bag, and off I go. So I ended up being like 2 minutes later than I really wanted to be, right? Because I didn't have to take the time to do something, to make something. And that also helps decrease our stress, and it sets us up for having positive willpower, right? Because we have to make I'm going to use the number millions. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but we have to make so many decisions a day that our brain and our gut and our nervous system are overloaded. So if I don't have to make a decision because I know what I'm having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, unless I know I'm going out to dinner, which is a rare occasion, then I know I'm setting myself up to get what I need. We also, meal prepping and meal planning does is it portion controls you so that you know what your portion controls are. You kind of know what you have to eat. And if you're somebody that feels like you have to eat everything on your plate, then I say take less. Because if that messaging was given to you because of the way you were brought up, or that you were born, or your parents like you can leave the table into, your broccoli and your peas and your strings and your protein, I don't know. Like, we have all this programming that we don't know where it comes from. So if that's you, then put less on your plate. Know that after, check in with yourself and say, am I hungry? But that's what's going to help you from like overeating and not eating starchy, sugary foods, right? So the portion control and eating a balanced macronutrient. And then customization, when you meal plan, you can personalize your meals based on your dietary requirements, or maybe ones that I've given to you as a patient. You can figure that out. Or, you can reach your health goals, because there's a health goal. Because we remember yesterday I said, if we track something and set a goal, whether it's a number in business, whether it's revenue, whether it's creating a family, whether it's starting to work out, whatever that is, the more we look at it and we have it planned in front of us, you're going to hit that. Whereas if you just fly by the seat of your pants with nutrition and food, you're not going to be on target. I can say that because you just can't fly with it. So when we embark on healthy eating and meal planning, we're going to start setting these realistic goals, and we're going to really understand what our nutritional needs are. Because we're going to start to say, hey, am I hungry? Is my energy dropping? Do I have cravings? Or after a meal, do I need a sugary treat? I can pretty much tell you, if you need a sugary treat after a meal and you've done all the amazing meal prepping I just talked about, I can pretty much tell you that you probably have too much sugar. And I'm not saying you can't have treats, but if your brain is calling like, I need that sugary treat, I know that cookie's over there, that Oreo is not far away, or I want that chocolate chips. Oh, I know there's chocolate, but I'm not going to eat it. But there's chocolate in there, but I'm not going to eat it because I just ate a balanced meal. And if you have to start playing that game with yourself, you know that you're addicted to sugar. I'm sorry, I love all of you, but it's the truth. You become addicted to sugar, right? So, if you really like need support around what I'm talking about, you know where to find me, nutritionists in your area, but make sure that individual has knowledge in like the macronutrients, understands muscles, understands functional medicine, and really understands, because I would hate to see you go up the wrong alley and not get the support that you need, because there's all different ways about going the diet. If you go to a dietitian, again, I'm not picking on them, but if you go to a dietitian in a doctor's office, if you have diabetes, I've seen some of the menus that come back, and they will tell you that it's okay to eat potatoes and it's okay to eat starchy foods. And I'm going to tell you that if you have a sugar problem and your glucose is elevated and you have a cholesterol problem, and even you might have a hemoglobin A1C problem, watch the nutrients that you're intaking, because you can, somebody asked yesterday, can you heal pre-diabetes and diabetes? And the answer is yes, but we're not talking about that. It's not being communicated out there, and that's why I'm passionate about doing what I do. So I know that was 30 minutes of a lot. I think I tried to just narrow today down, but what I want to ask you is, if anyone wants to pop in the chat, what are they struggling with meal planning? Like, are there recipes that you're looking for? Because I can talk about recipes, but the only reason I don't really get into recipes is everybody has a different taste that they really like lean towards. Maybe you're of Indian descent, or maybe you're of Mediterranean descent, or you grew up in the South on biscuits and gravy, then that change is going to be very different. Or you're Italian and you grew up on pasta. So those changes become like your taste buds around, like maybe red sauce. So now we're maybe looking at like, cutting out pastas and finding options for that for now till we get your blood sugar in check. But I don't know what any of you are struggling with. So I just kind of want to open it up for 10 minutes or so. We all have busy lives, and just see like, hey, are you guys struggling with anything that I can answer that will support anybody? And hopefully everybody can still hear me on YouTube. You hear me better? I know there's so many of you over on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, so I apologize. I recorded the end of it, so we can send the end out recording. We always send out an email if you opted in. Wow. This is like the first challenge that I haven't had a lot of questions. I usually get like a tremendous amount of questions. So I guess I'm doing my job. I'm like, really, you guys get the macronutrients, and you're gonna have to play with your your calorie numbers, figure out what works for you. But when you are looking at your calories, know how much you're burning throughout the day. Okay. And I wish I could tell you what tomorrow is all about. Well, maybe I can. I just can't remember off the top of my head. So tomorrow is going to be all about digestion. So we're going to be looking at how sugar creates unhealthy gut and brain. So again, I would maybe bring your questions for tomorrow that have anything to do with the nervous system, gut. Again, I can't diagnose, treat, or tell you what to do here, but I can kind of support you and guide you if you have questions. And I would maybe bring a 3-day recall for yourself if you have gut issues. And then you can know what you're eating, and are you eating too much starches and sugars that are feeding your gut, which is causing gut discomfort. I just spoke to somebody today who's going to be a new patient who's had diverticulitis for 3 years and has not gotten to the root of it. So it can be so many different pieces, but we really want to know what's going on in your gut. So tomorrow, it's all about the gut and the brain and the nervous system. And so bring your questions, write down your 3 recall if you have any questions, because that's the time that I can answer it. And I love you guys. VIP, stay on to answer your questions. If you guys have anything, you know where to find me. Simple Health by Dr. Holly Donahue on Facebook. Or on YouTube, you can pop in, I think, and ask questions over there, or DM me on Instagram. All right, I'm sending you so much love. Thanks for showing up, taking the time to invest in your health and wellness, the best thing that you'll ever do, so that you feel your best, so that you can step into your vision like we got. I'll talk to you guys all soon.